Okay, so there are episodes and interviews that I'm excited for, and then there are episodes and interviews that I am excited for. I have been teasing you about this one for 6 or 7 weeks now. It is finally here. I'm so freaking delighted to share with you my sit down interview with Marissa Liesenfelt. There is so much amazing information in here. We're not going to wait any longer. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we explore the mindset shifts, energetic upgrades, and practical strategies that support you in becoming the woman who creates what she desires with confidence and clarity. I'm Amy Diamond, and I help high-performing women like you move beyond shame, guilt, and struggle so that you can step into deeper wealth, confidence, and a life that feels delicious inside and out. If you've ever sensed you are meant for more and you're ready to create it, this is your place. It's time to move beyond the vision board, babe, and become the catalyst for true transformation. You're about to step into something really powerful. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I am so freaking excited for today, and we're having a little bit of a giggle. This particular interview is like the definition of determination. Marissa Liesenfelt is here with me today. We have been trying to get this podcast interview recorded for so long, and just like life is just, Mercury's been busy. It's been doing this thing, and if you're watching me on the video, you'll see that nothing behind me looks the same because I'm actually recording in the performance shop where my car gets worked on today. And Marissa is in her brand new home in Amsterdam, which is like close to my heart. Marissa, welcome to the podcast. I'm going to give you like a proper introduction in just a second, but like, welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So glad it finally all worked out. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I got to tell you, I have been fangirling hard about Marissa. Let me give you her proper introduction, okay, before I like go off the deep end. So, Marissa is an eight-figure operator turned intuitive business mentor. She has helped build and lead some of the most recognized names in her industry. She has owned and operated multiple companies, served in executive leadership, and she knows firsthand what it takes to build a business that doesn't just generate big revenue, but feels truly fulfilling and creates a legacy you're proud of. Now she brings that expertise to female founders who are ready for their next era. She helps them shed outdated identities, discover their natural genius, and shape their business around their unique design and gifts. No big
Yes.
deal, just like quietly crushing it. Super excited to have you here, Marissa. Give us the Coles Notes little. Tell us a tiny bit about your background, what got you here today. You've done some big things, and I would love for the audience to hear just a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure thing. So I know we'll talk human design today. And so I'll preface this by saying I'm a manifesting generator because my career has had a lot of twists and turns, very Manny Gen style. But I worked in advertising actually for a very long time, as kind of like moved up the ranks into executive roles. And at a point, I decided, it was kind of time for something different. And I followed Boss Babe, which is a big media company and coaching empire, really, for female founders. I followed Boss Babe on Instagram. And one day, the CEO, Natalie, had posted that they were looking for a COO, and I was currently a COO at the agency. And I'm like, you know what? I read the job description. I'm like, this industry is different, but this is like, I know how to do this job. I can COO, right? So I sent my resume in to Natalie. She got back to me like the next day. She was like, let's meet. And long story short, I became then the COO of Boss Babe. And so then I transitioned into the online coaching world and online education world, and spent several years there helping them build the business. And then another twist came, and I decided, okay, well, if I can build businesses behind the scenes, I can also do it for myself. And I was really passionate being so close to being able to coach women and, doing some of it myself in the membership and things like that. I'm like, I'd really like to start my own coaching business. So that's when I did so. I decided on very friendly terms to leave Boss Babe and start my own coaching business for female founders, like you said. So that's where I am today. And, even in the last few years since I've started this business, I've had twists and turns as well. So I started really helping people with operations. But then what I found and realized is like the actual impact and the major thing that I see for founders, whether it's female or male, like any founder really is, yeah, you need operations, you need strategy, like you need a business that makes sense. But really, what really makes the difference is the founder themselves and how much they're in alignment with what they're doing, how much they're actually utilizing their superpowers that they were born with. And it makes absolutely all the difference. So I became very passionate about helping women in particular tap into what makes them like their superpowers, like what makes them magical, because we all have our own sort of like unique things, and human design is a big part of that, and how and what informs that for me. So now I really help women, kind of point them towards what they really should be doing in their business, and how their business should be structured to support them so that they're really able to tap in to those superpowers.
Love, love. I had to write down, you said, what makes them magical. And
Yeah.
it's resonating real hard with the work that I'm doing right now. So I love that so much. Um, so you focused, give us like a little tiny snapshot of like internally what happened. Because you were like COO is very operational, very
Yeah.
clear on how everything moves. To shift from that into the actual leader, CEO, the visionary that's driving it forward. Very many, Jen, like I think you can walk that line well. But like, what were the things that you needed to kind of decouple or shift in order to make that jump?
Well, honestly, okay, so the COO role, I feel like, is very much a Swiss Army knife role. And depending on the organization that you're in, when you're in a bigger organization, then you probably are focused a little bit more on true operations and process and things like that, which I had some of those roles in bigger companies. But when you are actually paired with a founder, a visionary, a CEO, and you're in a smaller environment and you're working together to build the business, what that role actually becomes is, yes, it is running the business and, the operations part of it, but it also very much becomes a sort of like coach role to the CEO. Like you realize how much they need support, just like anyone in the company needs support, right? So the role starts to become, okay, how do I support this human being in succeeding in this business along with the strategy stuff? So when I made the shift into being a CEO myself and founder myself, it really wasn't that big of a shift, to be honest, because I was sort of doing it just paired with, these founders. I guess the biggest difference is, I was more on my own versus feeling like it was a bit of a team collaboration, environment, or at
Right.
least like a partner environment.
Yeah.
But the actual role itself, because of that, really isn't all that different.
Hey, so real quick question for you. Are you on the Insights email list already? And if you are not, what are you waiting for? Folks on my Insights email list get the best of the best from me. They get super secret deals, they get insights and freebies and all kinds of cool stuff delivered straight to their inbox. So if you are not yet on the list, get yourself on there right now. Click the link in the show notes and let's get you signed up so I can help you continue to keep expanding. Because, babe, OMG, the world wants more of you. So let's get you going. All right, so we're gonna dive like full body into human design today. I cannot. I said to Marissa before we hit record, I'm like, I have been fangirling so hard. You're gonna hear all about it today. I've been peppering it a little bit. If you've been checking out my YouTube videos lately, I've been peppering it a little bit into the YouTube videos. I've been talking like sneak peeks of some of what I've been testing that Marissa is going to share with us today. Like, please listen to the whole thing. Grab everything that Marissa is going to share with us in the show notes today because holy smokes, this is going to change the game for you. So, our topic, I'm just going to frame our topic and then we're going to dive into it. Our topic today is what human design reveals about how each woman is uniquely wired to lead, show up, and generate wealth, and why this is the missing piece most high achievers have never been introduced to. Now, before we get into that part, Marissa, what I do want to say is, as someone who's been exploring human design for
Mhm.
like 6 or 7 years. I can't remember when I first was introduced to it. I've certainly heard people talk about like Catherine Zankina and James Wedmore and oh, there's a lady whose name isn't coming to mind. I can see her face. And they've talked about human design and how understanding their design has helped them in business. But I could
Yes.
never quite like translate the one over. I'm like, I don't, I see, I'm a generator. This is how I work. But like, how do I bring that into my actual work? How do I translate that into what I'm doing? And this is why I cannot stop like raving about what you are here to share with us today because it has given me so much clarity and like, holy crap. So let's dive into it. Tell us the things.
Okay. So
What got
where
you
shall we
into this?
start?
Yeah, maybe okay, let's start here. Let's do a tiny little, I know I just kind of like dumped a whole plate on your lap and said, Marissa, take us away. And you're like, what the heck? Okay, so give us the snapshot of like what got you into creating, let's just call it the tool, and we'll tell people what the tool is in a second.
Yep.
What got you into creating that tool in the first place?
Okay, so it actually comes from a very personal experience that I went through in building my business and wanting to help other people get the same aha that I did. So when I first started building my business, I was coming off of, working and building an eight-figure business alongside, the leaders in Boss Babe. And so strategy wise, like I knew that strategy so well of what we were doing with that company. So when I first started my business, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna just start applying the strategies that I already know. And, of course, I am also, taking courses and getting coached and all the things too. I invested myself very heavily. And so I'm getting all these sort of external, ideas of how to run this business. And strategically they're sound, but I was finding that I was not happy with the strategies that I was using, even though I knew they were good strategies to make money.
Hmm.
And but I was not seeing the same success that I could actually create for somebody else, for myself. And
Hmm.
also, I was getting frustrated. And I'm like, okay, I actually got to a point where I was feeling very burnt out. And I was like, you know what? Do I just go back to being an integrator and COO, or what do I do here?
Yeah.
And what I realized is I was building a business based on somebody else's strengths and design and not my own. And so during this sort of like, I needed to take a pause. Like I said, I was feeling very burnt out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a pause and sort of reflect and figure out like what's the path forward here because I'm just not happy. And in that pause, it was actually kind of random. I saw an ad for like an Instagram ad for a human design blueprint. I already knew my human design, so it wasn't like it was the first time I came across this information, but it's like I knew I was a manifesting generator. I basically knew what that meant, but I didn't go super deep into it.
Right.
But this time, I think because of the headspace I was in and because I was so trying to figure out like how do I structure this business so that it actually works for me, I was just looking at it through a different lens. So I really dove deep into understanding my own human design. And what I started realizing and having these aha moments around was, yeah, okay, this makes sense. I've built a business that works really well for a generator, works really well for somebody that, with a certain design, because those are the people I largely work next to
Hmm.
or learned from. And this doesn't work for me and how I'm designed. And if I make these tweaks, then it will work because it's going to be working with my energy, with my strengths, with, the things that I actually, I said magic earlier, like the things that make me magical. But I do need to restructure the business in order to do that. And so I then like regained energy. I came out of that burnout and, like I said, restructured the business. And all of a sudden, like success was happening. My programs were filling. I was getting opportunities to collaborate. I was, all these things started happening. And it was because I really focused on what I'm strong at and what are my superpowers and let go of the idea that you have to do something a certain way in order to be successful.
Okay, I have full body goosebumps. Like as you were saying, all of a sudden these things started flowing in. My whole
Yes.
body just got goosebumps all the way down to my ankles. Um, yes. So this is what I've been testing the tool that you're going to share with us shortly here for, I don't know, like 3 weeks or something.
Hmm.
And I like, holy moly, it is just it's giving me such clarity. So, the people who've been listening to the podcast for a while know that I've been building this business I've been full on 2.5 years now. And up until about February this year, I was really struggling in a lot of different ways. But like really feeling just disconnected and
Yeah.
trying to do all the things. I was trying to follow the strategies and I'd taken tons of business training and I'd hired coaches and I'd done all the
Yeah.
things. And
Yep.
yet I'm like, the work lights me up, but how do I actually create the impact? How do I draw the people in? And then having this sense of like, truthfully being afraid of how to talk about it. So like the heart of my work is money. I'm not ashamed at all to talk about money, but I've felt for the very long time this sense that I was talking about money kind of one-handed. But in the other hand, what I was sort of holding behind me was I don't want to tell you what's actually happening on my end because I don't want someone to look at that and think I can't learn from her because she
Yeah.
doesn't have this experience that I have. Then I started working with your tool and it was like, hello, here's how people want to learn from you. And here's the things to say. And I'm gonna read this now. So I was mentioning to Marissa before we hit record that I want to read a little snippet from the tool today. So, um, we'll tell you what it is in a minute. I promise you. You're going to be so excited. Like I can hear people running to go get their phones and like make it happen. So, inside the tool, there is an opportunity that it will give you like a daily reflection of, okay, here's what's happening. How can you apply this into your business today? So, the question that got prompted said, today Jupiter is sextile my natal Mercury. What does that mean for my business today? Give me something specific I can do with this energy. I'm 1,000% here already for the setup. So stay with me. Here's what today has to say. Jupiter sextile your Mercury right now is basically a green light for your words to land. Your communication is naturally expansive, clearer than usual, and people are more receptive to what you're saying. This is the day your ideas don't need softening or over explaining, they just work. Here's what I'd actually do with it: record something, a voice memo, a short video, a podcast episode, whatever. Your communication is your biggest asset anyway. Ooh, hang on. I did a fun thing with my scroll. And today, that channel is amplified. Don't overthink it. Just speak into what you know about money shame or the specific block your clients are carrying right now. The clarity will be there and people will feel it. All right, now hang on. This is the last three sentences, and this is the part every time I read into like what's happening in the day, I'm like, holy crap. If you've been sitting on a message you wanted to put out but kept second guessing, today's the day. Or if you have a sales conversation scheduled, you're going to feel unusually articulate and grounded. You'll say the thing you mean without the usual filter. The window is maybe 24 to 48 hours. Don't wait for it to feel perfect. Just use it. Like every time, oh my God, Marissa, every single time that I've like thought, especially if I do it at the top of the day, sometimes I do it at the end of the day and I'm like, well, damn it. Like, I wish I had known that at 9 a.m. It gives me such clarity. And I've recorded some really impactful content as a result of some of
Yeah.
what has been coming through. And it feels unbelievably aligned. Like, and let me just clarify, because I think there's a lot of talk in the manifestation world of like aligned energy and like, so what does that actually mean? What does it feel like? It feels a touch scary because, of course, what I'm being called in my work is to really share the deep struggle that we have inside our money journey. And because of how I'm designed to show up, it's meant to go experiment with things, figure out how some things work, and then tell the collective about it. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm like master level pro at figuring all the things out of like, how do you stretch the dollars? How do you navigate scarcity? How do you stay calm and grounded? How do you do all these things? But now actually talking about like, okay, let's be real. Here's the bill notice that I got. Here's the credit card email that I got. And it feels scary in the sense of like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm talking about this. But so it's like being pulled forward. And
Yeah.
that's what I mean by that aligned feeling, that like it feels like I'm being pulled forward. This like tool has given me such a huge amount of clarity. Let me stop talking. Is there anything that you want to like touch on before I ask you the
Yeah.
next question?
Well, I'm so, so glad that you're having that experience. That's exactly why I developed the tool because like I said, I was coming out of this for myself and figuring out what do I need to do to make this work for me. And through that experience, like really learning like, oh my God, like, okay, I actually, if I tap into these certain things about myself, like it's things are going to work so much better. So similar to something you just said, like one of the things that came through for me in these codes was that like my well, for starters, voice is my way. And I wasn't doing podcasts before. I wasn't doing a whole lot of voice anything. I was doing actually mostly like Instagram carousels and things like that for visibility.
Hmm.
And I learned that my voice is actually my magic. And I also learned that I am more effective
Oh,
performing, so to speak.
sorry. Say that again. I am more effective. The audio dropped out. Will just hit me again.
Okay, so I'm more effective when I am like using my voice and speaking from the heart and responding to what the environment's giving me. So like responding to like what you're giving me versus if I am like performing and scripting myself and trying to be perfect and which is
Mm.
all things I was doing before. I think I still had a bit of that good girl corporate girly thing of like, okay, I have to show up perfect. I have to be buttoned up. I have to, all these things. When I realized that actually my audience is going to respond to me better when I'm just being me and when I'm being
Yeah.
genuine and when I'm being vulnerable and when I'm allowing, them to see that I'm not perfect. And truly people did start responding to me differently. So I think that's going to happen for you too. And so when I started to like get these little pieces, there's so many different, I mean, there's a lot in the codes, right? But like through like I want to put this in the hands of more women because like if we can really understand like oh it's like and honestly if I can just make these tweaks and the tweaks to be made are actually just being more genuinely you like and really
Yeah.
tapping into what makes you strong.
And so I will say this. I think we've heard a lot of that message, like just be you and like people will respond. But understand like how, like how does that translate? What does
Yeah,
that mean? And that's where this has given me some really powerful clarity of, oh, okay, so just be me means like, hey, talk about the thing
exactly.
that you're afraid to talk about because it's like, but that's not perfect. It's not the polished result that everybody that I shouldn't say everybody, that business coaches tend to drive is like, this is what you should be focusing on. It just feels okay. So I told you I'm going to do this, and here's where it's going to pair in. So
Okay.
um, I think this episode is going to publish after the workshop is done, but I want to just like share some of how this workshop showed up. So at this moment that you and I are sitting down recording this, I am preparing and enrolling people into the Magic Money workshop. Sorry, Money Magic workshop. I keep turning them like inside out, like over and over and over.
It sounds good
So,
both ways.
right? Either way, it's amazing. And when I did my last workshop, which I feel like was in March, I was like, okay, I've got it written. It's great. It's really awesome content. I'll just keep doing this workshop every few months because like I'll just get more people in. And oh my God, like this just started coming through and it was like, Amy, this is what you have to talk about. When you said, I'm familiar with human design, but then this ad popped up and it just sparked everything. I was like, girl, I feel you. I have had that happen so many times. And the things that have started unlocking for me that I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like this is so this whole, and it's flowing through. This workshop is flowing through. It's showing up in terms of like, having the courage to, like, for example, when you and I had that conversation yesterday and I was like, hey, Marissa, what do you think about this? I would never have done that before without being like, nah, we should probably know each other better and like find out if this is going to be a good fit. But I'm reaching out to women who I feel like their work resonates so nicely alongside the work that I'm doing to say, hey, do you think this would be a great pairing for us to do something together? This is the kind of stuff that, like, I used to feel like I needed to have a very polished approach, a very
Yep.
polished pitch. I had to have everything fully fleshed out before I could bring this to somebody. But part of the nature of how I work is that things are coming together right up until the last minute. So, like, it's not fully polished until like 2 days before I'm about to go out. And I'm like, well, damn, like, I can't give someone 48 hours notice and like, hey, let's do this. This is the kind of clarity that has been rolling through as a result of digging into this tool. And it's insane to me how lit up I feel. Like I've been working
Yes.
through a really big project for the last since September, so like the last 10 months or so. And of course, because this is how life works, like June and July is like the heaviest lift in this project. And that's when all of this creative energy is coming through. So I'm like working like crazy and like trying to like, okay, I gotta hit the gym or like go for a walk because like I've been sitting at my computer, but it's just pouring out of
Yes.
me in the best way. And I'm like, oh my God, it's what I've heard people talk about, but have never understood really how to bring that into the context of the business. And um, so let's name the tool. Let's get people like, oh my God, you got to check this out. Tell us
Yes.
what it is,
Okay.
Marissa.
So magnetic power codes is the name of the tool. And essentially, how it was birthed was, like I said, I was really going deep into all this myself. And I know business, so well too. And I'm like, okay, what are like the things that an entrepreneur really needs to understand about themselves in order for them to really be able to, create the business that totally lights them up, everything you're just describing. And so I essentially came up with, different kind of elements like your entrepreneurial essence, like the way you're meant to actually be visible in the world, your ideal clients, your ideal excuse me, your ideal sort of like setup, like, group or one-on-one or like stuff like that. And then, created sort of an algorithm to pull through its human design is a huge part of it. And then it also pulls in gene keys, which is, sort of like adjacent to human design and also some astrology as well. And really decodes you against all these different sort of dimensions of business and how you are really designed to succeed in that way. And then, using AI now, that's, obviously a nice tool for us to be able to dig in and really understand these things deeper. So there's the ability to really understand, like ask questions and dig in and really go deep to understand, yourself even better. So
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially the tool. But even the report itself, just, as sort of the beginning part of understanding yourself against all these dimensions, like that to me is, I mean, that's why I developed this. And that to me is like really the magic. It's like your roadmap or your, sort of like your blueprint that you really never knew about yourself.
Yeah, and it bins it in these like really helpful containers.
Yes.
I've been reading through because it's so easy that we just like dive and we're like, oh my God, like what's this one? And then we forget. So I've been intentionally pushing myself, read one at a
Yes.
time. So I've been reading it like at night when I snuggle into bed, I'm like, okay, what's the one that I haven't read yet? And I read that. And and then I go to bed with this like juicy kind of like creative vibe running through my brain. And so all these like ideas keep pouring into me. One of the things that oh my gosh, it just stopped my whole world when I read it. And I can't remember which one of the codes it was in, but and it was like the last line I think of the thing and it said something like people who push you to prove your worth frustrate the hell out of you and they're not your audience. And it just gave me this immense clarity on everything that I've been taught as how I'm supposed to show up as an expert, as an authority, how I'm supposed to show up in the business. That like, so, and like, listen, so many business coaches, so many like life coaches have said, you need to prove your value and your worth to people in order for them to trust you and then want to work with you. And I'm like, but it feels so disingenuous to feel like I have to prove to you. And then when I read this, I was like, well, no fucking wonder it felt so
Yeah.
disingenuous. That's not how I meant to show up. And I was like,
Yes.
well, damn. Okay. It's almost like these pieces are giving permission to say, this thing that it might work for some and some people might need to show up in that way, but it actually doesn't work for you. So stop trying to
Yeah.
do it because it's not feeling
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it really gives you permission to stop doing the things that don't feel good to you. It doesn't feel good to you for a reason. That's not your way. It is maybe somebody else's way, and maybe they've made tons of money doing it and they've been very successful, but you're not them. And maybe
Yeah.
that was their way and you have a different way. And it's good. Like to your point, like what you're saying right now of feeling so aligned and things really flowing. When you are sort of, yeah, like aligned to how you are really designed to move through the world and you're really tapped into that, that's when everything starts to feel much easier, much
Mhm.
more enjoyable, and your creativity is just like on fire from it too.
Yeah. And let's talk about that for a half a second because I think there's sometimes especially when we're early in business. If we haven't been in it, kind of slogging it out for a while, we've watched all the success stories. We're like, "Oh,
Hmm.
like now it's easy." When we say easy, it doesn't mean that there isn't still effort and input and
No,
like what we'll tag as hard work
right,
involved.
right. That's
But it
correct.
doesn't feel like you're trying to shove a giant boulder up a mountain, while there's like the earth shaking underneath you. It feels intentional. It feels so for generators, my signature self is satisfaction. It
Hmm.
feels satisfying. Even as I'm like, there are moments that I'm cursing like the tech stack and like, what could you just fucking work for me? Like, sometimes that happens, but
Yes.
it's not it's not this like continual sense of frustration and feeling like this is this is actually the biggest thing that was so clear for me. I've been feeling this like big sense of frustration in like the broad sense of my business of I'm doing the things. I'm putting out content consistently. I'm doing YouTube videos. I'm trying to really show up like authentically as who I am. I'm trying to really talk to like the person that I want to that I feel that I'm here to help. Why is nothing working?
Yeah.
Why is it not working? And being like, and then I start questioning everything. And I mean, it's natural that you would. And I was like, is this even where I'm supposed to be? Like, am I doing the work that I'm meant to, or am I just completely delusional? And I'm just basically like, all of my money is going away after this idea that I shouldn't even be working in the first place. But when I actually do the work, when I record the video, when I write the content, when I'm building the programs, everything in me feels so lit up, but like trying to get it into the hands of people, oh my God, made me want to hide under like a very big rock. And that has shifted in the last few weeks. Now, granted, it's only been a few weeks. So like we could say, Amy, it's just you have like shiny new tool syndrome, but it's more that it's given me some clarity of how to plug myself in, how
Yeah.
to talk about things. And it's not there might be. I can't remember if I've like gone into the one that because I think there's one of the codes talks about like where to show up and how to show
Yes.
up.
Hmm.
I don't think I've read that one yet. But even just like being in the spirit of it, being in the energy of it, there's been things that have been showing up like, like be on Instagram because like the stories are fun and like I can do some fun reels. But Amy, like video is your jam. Get into video, really lean into the YouTube, lean into doing podcast interviews, lean into they feel so good and I feel
Yeah.
delighted to do it. So it's not without effort. Like I spent 2 hours editing a video this morning,
Of
but like
course.
it feels good.
Well, and that's, our experience of work and time. Well, our experience of work is directly related to our experience of time, right? So you're absolutely correct that this is when I say things feel easier, if you're running a business, there's work involved. There always will be. Like if
Yeah.
somebody tries to tell you there isn't, then I would question that person. However, sometimes, and I want this to be more often than not for people, when you are really lit up about what you're doing, you can like put 12 hours in a day that, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta eat, I gotta do something. But you're like so like lit up about what you're doing that you almost don't want to stop. Like you just want to keep going. And that's it. It's like, yeah, you're still going to be working, but do you feel really good about what you're doing? And does it feel like your like time is just, like going because you're so enthralled with what you're doing? Like that's the point. And also when I say easier too, like I'll give you an example. So for me, and I sort of mentioned something about this earlier, but you know, my codes very much are like show up and speak and talk to humans. And I'm better in response energy. So that's something I've learned about myself as well. So I'm better if I'm actually having a conversation with somebody versus if I'm, trying to talk into the abyss.
Mm.
And what I was doing before though was, I was focusing more on creating a lot of Instagram carousel content. I was creating more of the speak into the abyss type content. Like I'm not actually speaking to anyone. I'm just sort of, showing up on camera and things like that. And yeah, it worked okay, but it wasn't working that great, to be honest. And it didn't feel good. I always had to gear myself up for that stuff.
Mm.
And now it's like, okay, so then I twisted my strategy to be more about, podcast guesting and having conversations with people and doing panels and doing community, workshops and things like that. And that's when things really started picking up and it felt really good. I love showing up and having a conversation with somebody that's so interesting and they have this interesting, show that they've built and everything else. It feels really good. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to spend 2 hours maybe doing this today, but like it feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was spending 2 hours for me writing Instagram content would not feel that good.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't feel great to me either. Like, so I was thinking about you last night. I've been thinking about you a lot the last couple of weeks. But I was thinking about you last night because you are 8 hours ahead of me.
Yeah.
And so we started recording this at like 7 o'clock your time. And when it was like 7, 8 o'clock my time last night, I was like, damn, I don't know if I could like sit down and record an interview at this time of day. But then I got to, as I was thinking about the work and the stuff that I'm doing now, I'm like, you know what? Oh my God, I totally could do it. I could totally see that. And everything that I've been doing before, it was like this uncanny marker where 5 o'clock would hit. And unless I was doing something that I was really excited about, like my whole body just shut down.
Yeah.
It just,
You
so
were
if
like
I'm, if
waiting for
I'm
the escape. Yeah.
yeah, and I was exhausted at the end of the day, and I'm like, fuck, and I don't feel like I've moved the needle at all, which was
Yeah.
very frustrating. The last, it's so funny when you said about, having like being able to work for 12 hours. I just all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, that's what's been going on. Because I've been going to bed every night. I'm like, okay, listen, like I had to be up early for me, much earlier than my normal rhythm for today in order to get to the shop. And I was like, I got to make sure that I'm like dressed in case exactly what happened today happened, that we were going to be recording while I was here. And um, so last night I'm like, okay, Amy, we got to go to bed. We got to like, you got to go to sleep. You got a full day tomorrow. You got an early start in the morning. Like, please, for all love of all things holy, go to sleep. And like my husband headed to bed. He was really tired. He headed to bed at like 8:30. I had to go outside for a walk. I just needed to like
Yeah.
get rid of some energy. And then even then, when I got into bed, I'm like, okay, like listen, lady, like it's time to go to sleep. And I'm like, I couldn't have, it's been happening the last few weeks. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, I don't feel spent, which I feel like maybe I should be feeling. But I'm so aware, and this is something that I'm very, very regimented about. Like, I don't pick up the computer late at night, because I know
Hmm.
that it's just gonna like create a whole bunch of havoc and in my sleep patterns and everything, which then impacts everything.
Yeah.
But this sense of just like now, the last little while when I've been waking up in the morning, I'm like, oh my God, like let's fucking go. Okay, get my coffee, get myself going. Like let's rock and roll. And actually, there was something that I read, I think yesterday, I think in the app that said something to the effect of you start your day in the quiet, and that is actually really integral for you to do the quality of the work that you are here to
Mm.
do. I got to tell you, Marissa, I have felt so guilty for so long about the fact that I have my coffee and I read in the morning when like my husband's already gone to work and he's like slugging it out in the office. I've held on to it because it's this ritual that is so fulfilling, but like feels so guilty doing it. Like it's like, this
Yeah.
feels unfair. Why am I doing this? Even though I logically know that it's fueling me up for the day, not just the caffeine, which is a big deal,
Right.
but like fueling me up for the
Yeah.
day. And then when I read that, I'm like, well, no wonder. Like, so it's also giving me some clarity. And I think this is part of why I'm so excited for all of you listening to get your hands onto this. It's giving me clarity on some of the things that I was already leaning into that felt aligned, but I was struggling with the context of like the world around me. Like, it's not fair that so and so doesn't get to have this or so and so has to do something else instead. And now I'm
Right.
like, well, damn, girl, like, aren't you here to do some big fucking things in the world? Maybe it's important that you like honor these things, right? And it's really awesome. I'm really have I said yet that I'm a huge fangirl of the
Well,
magnetic
I mean,
hourglass?
I could hear it all day long, so I'm
Yeah.
happy to hear it. I'm happy to hear it because this is exactly like this was my mission was to help exactly create this scenario where you feel lit up and you feel like you have lost the guilt around things that are just actually how you're designed to be your best, actually, really.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look the same as everyone else. And that's the thing, we all compare ourselves. I mean, since, the time that we see other peers around us, we're comparing ourselves. And, we always have, most of us, I would say, have this like sort of inner critic always running of like, oh, am I like doing enough? Or am I as good as this person? Or am I. But what, like I think this is impossible to change the world this way, but if we would just stop comparing and start leaning into our individuality and honoring like, oh yeah, I have something to give and I have something to bring and I'm a unique being here. And, this person next to me is also a unique being and they also have their unique things to give. And we just allow for that versus comparing ourselves all the time. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I think for many founders too, I don't think it matters what level you're at because I've worked with founders at pretty much all levels. It's their comparison syndrome is there. But really
Yeah.
it's like, okay, if we can divert that energy into like inward and say, okay, like let me actually just optimize myself here, like that's when you start to feel like how you're feeling right now.
Yeah. And the cool thing about it is, um, when we lay down that need to compare and we feel like we're, I hate this word, but allowed, when we feel like we're allowed to be who we are
Yeah,
and how we show up,
absolutely.
what it also actually does, which I think is so friggin' beautiful, is it's like it continues to dissolve any further need or activation to prove ourselves, to look at someone else who's doing something really great and go, oh my God, I'm not where they are. It's so easy. Listen, like if we had done this interview 2 years ago, I would be sitting here just going, oh my God, I'm gonna sit down with Marissa Liesenfelt. Like she's a big fucking deal. And like, oh my God, she's way more successful than me, that she's had way more wins than me. She's like, who am I to sit down and have this conversation? Whereas now, because I've really been figuring out and moving my way through into, so we operate in the world differently and our work is different. And
Yeah.
exactly, what I've been going through and how I've been learning is how I'm meant to show up in the world, is meant to influence and inform the work that I'm doing. And it's not about, so you had to go through your specific learnings and journey and experiences in order to influence the work that you are now doing in the world.
Yeah.
It's not about you're further ahead or you're more successful or you're, I don't know, you're more beautiful, you're living in like cool places. Like, it's none of those things. It's just, oh my God, there's this other person who's also walking her path, who's also doing really cool work. I don't care, if our levels are completely out of balance from one another from the numerical standpoint that the world would like to tell us
Right.
isn't a place that we should be sitting down and aligning. Um, it's cracked open a really, and I want to say this for people who've really been struggling with that, which I think is so common, especially when we start, especially if you're not like, if you haven't led at high levels in a job and now you have like, you're building this business, whatever that looks like for you, it's so easy to feel small and to dismiss
Yeah.
ourselves and to discount what we know and to take ourselves out from spaces and places exactly like this where we could have a really impactful conversation with someone who we could perceive to be like, way far ahead of us on the pathway when actually it's like, sure, but that's their pathway. Like,
Yeah, we're just on
you don't
different
know
paths.
yet where
Right.
yours is going to go. And, so I think that it's really cool that this, as we learn through this and we start to understand how we are uniquely meant to show up. And I got to tell you, like, holy crap, the clarity that this, and how it, when I say clarity, how clearly it writes out. So I'll give you a little bit of background. When you sign up for the magnetic power codes, it asks you a series of questions. Can't remember how many there are. They're not hard to answer, but it asks about like what are things that you're working on, who's the audience that you are here to serve, what's the biggest, like what would you love to see, what is the thing that you're struggling with, and then that all feeds into the readings and things that are coming through. And I was like, oh my God. So it
Yeah.
says in there like, hey, so I know that like you have this big goal of hitting, 10,000 people on your email list. And that's really cool. And also your focus is better served here right now, and it will get you there. And
Yes.
like, I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Like nobody's ever said that to me before. And you'd pay thousands for a business coach who hopefully can give you that clarity. But it's all still going to be filtered through how they operate in the world, the things they believe to be true.
And that's the thing. I think the coaching world, everyone is serving in a way that they feel is going to be the best way they can serve, right? But I would
Yeah.
say the majority of coaches out there are essentially teaching what got them success, right? Like their path and what worked for them, and then they're passing that on, and they're amazing for doing that. But I think, yeah, the missing piece is, okay, I'm going to pass on my lived experience and what worked for me, but then and this is what I like to do now with my clients is like, okay, but let's now apply that through the filter of you. And
Mhm.
let's see what of this works for you and what of it doesn't. And so we might need to tweak some of this for you because, maybe you're meant to, operate a certain way and this actually won't work for that. So let's tweak it. But yeah, I think, yeah, I would love, because I've done it myself. Like I would love for people not to invest so much anymore in just information that worked for somebody else without understanding what needs to shift about it so that it actually works for them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Fully agree. One of the things that I'm so fascinated by, it doesn't touch on gender at all inside the app and in the codes. But something that I know that I've certainly thought myself a lot is, so first of all, most personal growth books up until very recently have been written by men.
Yeah.
Most business coaches up until very recently have been men. Men have a way of moving and operating in the world that is not the same as how women move and operate in the world. When we talked earlier about how it feels easy, I'm not gonna name them because like I admire them greatly and I think they're really a lovely human being, but I have heard him say multiple times, like people are like, I just want it to be easy. I just want it to feel fun. I just want it to feel light. And he's like, you're in business. Like you need to fucking like get over yourself and do the hard thing. And I've really struggled with that because I'm
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, but like, listen, I will like break my back trying to get something done if you're telling me it's the right thing, but I'm dying inside trying to
Yeah.
do this. And then it's paired with, people can feel if you're being disingenuous or if you're living in scarcity or if you really want them to buy. And I'm like, I don't know how to disconnect those two. Like, I'm trying to do this thing, but it feels so unaligned for me, but you keep telling me it's what I'm supposed to do. So understanding that we can take elements of what personal growth, books and experts have been
Hmm.
sharing over the years, but applying them more directly to how we are meant to operate and move. I actually think that there's going to be a lot that shows up, even just in terms of while the app itself doesn't talk about gender and how women and men operate differently in the world, there's been a lot that has been showing up that is actually very aligned with how I felt as a woman moving through the world, as a woman standing in business, as a woman leading in the space that I'm leading. It's given me some clarity of what that can look like and how that feels. And and I gotta tell you, like, I just feel like it's really making everything feel more magnetic. I think it's, um, you said this very early on in our conversation today that, like, you can have an amazing strategy, but it may not necessarily work for you if you need to adjust your approach a little bit. So
Yeah,
having the clarity on what that is and going, okay, so it might not be the strategy that's broken.
right.
And it's not that anything is broken, but like, here's the outline and let's tailor it to who the hell you actually are so that like it makes
Yes.
sense for how your work flows into the world.
And that's it. It's tailoring. It's like once you understand yourself at a level, that you can do this, like it's now tailoring advice and tailoring things so that it actually, yeah, it will work for you or it'll also feel good for you because, I mean, yeah, brute force can get you pretty far, honestly, if you're just willing to like, crush yourself to do something. But
Yeah.
like who wants that? Like, I mean, I think women in particular are very much like, I don't want to kill myself to, make money. Like I want a nice lifestyle. I do want to make good money. I want to have, I'm serving a mission. Like I want to have an impact, like all these things. But it's like, yeah, but do you want to do it at the expense of your health and your wellness and your happiness and your time with your family and friends and things like
Wait,
that? It's
yeah, I
like,
was gonna
no.
say it's not just your own health and wellness. Let's have the
Yeah.
conversation about the fact that if I just like focused all my time and effort and energy on my work, our groceries wouldn't get bought, our house wouldn't get cleaned, we'd never go
Right.
out and see anybody. Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
it's not that it's not that my husband can't do those things. When the fridge was empty long enough, I'm sure he'd go get groceries. Like
Right. Right.
we're already carrying so much.
Yeah.
And then, pair that with all the pressure of like we have to look a certain way and whatever, be healthy and all those things. Yeah, like you can, to your point, we can brute force through. And I'd just like to say for most of the women around, like we're very used to this.
Yeah.
And we're also going, this is a broken system and I'm really not
Yeah.
interested.
And I love that we're doing this. I love that we're all, it seems like collectively really examining things now. And it's like, wait a minute. We were just kind of accepting these things, but
Right?
why were we accepting these things? This isn't
Yeah.
like, no.
Someone
So
told us this is how it's supposed to be.
I was even having an interesting conversation with like a friend and colleague of mine who she's really good with meta ads. And something that she's discovering as she's kind of creating a new arm of her business is that meta ads for coaching, the coaching industry, are the algorithm is essentially like optimized around the male coaching industry and like how they sell and the types of packages and things like that, which is actually quite different than the female coaching industry.
Yeah.
And so there's a reason why meta ads don't always perform that well for female coaches, and it's because their whole algorithm around is optimized for a different type of sale and a different type of energy completely. So, I
Mhm.
mean, it's just so interesting. There's a lot of things that I think we're really working through, but I think we're making amazing strides at it. And, part of it is learning how to build successful businesses while remaining happy and fulfilled and healthy and all these things too. And that's only going
Yeah.
to help the world.
Yeah. Fully agree. Cannot stand up loud enough to say yes,
Yeah.
amen, a billion percent that. So Marissa, if I was like listening to this podcast interview right now, I'd be like, okay, this sounds really cool, but like, what's it like at $15,000 to get my hands on
No.
these codes? Like, tell people what we can. You have a really lovely gift for them. I gotta tell you, like,
Yes.
please don't like run, don't walk to get this gift into your hands. Um, and then tell us what happens after the gift is done.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, my goal is to get this in the hands of people. This is not a huge money maker for me. That's not my intention. My intention is to really help people. And so For starters, I'm offering your listeners a really nice deal, like you said, a gift where you can sign up. You get your Magnetic Power Codes report. So that's your 12 entrepreneurial codes around your own blueprint. And also access to the AI agent that does the chat and, understands about your business and can really help you interpret some of these things even deeper. So you get 1 month of that for free, plus the report for free as a listener here. And then after that, it's $11 USD, 11 a month to continue
Love.
with the chat and things like that. And if you don't want that, then that's okay. It's so easy to cancel. You just do it right in the app.
Okay. And I do want to just say, because lots of people are like, so what do I have to put a credit card in to get started? You do not. At least I don't think so. I don't recall putting anything in as part of, or
You
do I?
will have to put it in. You won't get charged anything. So when
Okay.
you sign up, so by the way, I have a special URL for you too, which is magneticpowercodes.com/manifesting millions.
Yay.
And when you go there, it will, prompt you to set up an account. It will take your card just to hold for the future subscription, but you
Okay.
can cancel it right away if you'd like, and you'll still get the month access. So, like I
And
said,
still
it's
get 30
super
days.
easy. If you don't feel like having this, more than the month, then it's no problem to cancel it.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And like I said, I would recommend because it's so easy to just go all in and like completely immerse yourself and then forget everything that you've read and how that's supposed to go through. So when you sign up, play through a couple of things, read through a couple of the codes, digest a little bit at a time so that you can reflect on it and start to see, oh, this is how I'm showing up in my business. And I will say, you'll once you get into the app, you'll see that it's a little bit different. So you have there's the section that has the codes, and then
Hmm.
there's the section that does the AI. And I think when I open my app, it automatically opens up into like the AI part that talks about the daily thing. Um, just test it out. Like, give it a go for a couple of weeks and see what you think. Because, like I said, it's crazy to me the clarity that this has given and how I'm not a big believer in that, like, we need to just kind of like follow a strategy or follow a tool and do all the things that this thing says. Like, if, I don't know, if you said to me, Marissa, Amy, here's exactly what you're supposed to do, I'd be like, okay.
Right.
I'll do three of those things. But I'll still do them my way. But like the way that it writes out, and it says, here's what's happening right now. Here's why this is super powerful. Here's what can be really beneficial and like start to land things. If you're in a space in a business where you know that it's important to create content, but you're really struggling with that or not sure, it's what I will say, it's not that it gives you content ideas, that it's like, here, talk about these topics today,
Right.
but it gives some really great inspiration of like, here's some ways of how you're showing up today that could be really beneficial.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I
and
love
it'll
that.
give you tips like, people want to hear from you your actual story. So talk about your story. And that can help you with content. 'Cause you're like, okay, yeah, I talk about my story versus, some, I don't know, like teaching content or something like that. But it helps give you that. But you're right. It's not meant to, be the content strategist or something like that. It's
Yeah.
truly more about it's the you strategist.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so we're going to make sure that the links are in the show notes for everyone so they can get their hands onto the magnetic power codes. And then when you do, like, come back and tell Marissa and I, find us on Instagram. We'll put all those
Yes.
links in the show notes as well. Tell us what you found. Like, share
I would
stories. Let
love
us
to hear.
know. Yeah, like what has it cracked open for you? Have things changed? Have they changed for the better? Have they changed for the worse? Like, tell us the things. I'm super curious to know. Partly because if you've been around, you know long enough that I'm kind of a nosy person and I just want to know what you're all doing.
I'm nosy as well, so I want to know as well.
There you go. Love it. Marissa, any final thoughts that you want to leave our listeners with today?
Gosh, I feel like we covered a lot, but yeah, I think the final note is tap into your magic, babe, because you have it and you are the most wise being, than anyone you're learning from, to be honest. So
Yeah.
that's my parting advice.
Love. Love, love, love. Marissa, thank you so much for joining me on the Manifesting Millions podcast today. I'm so dang glad that we finally made this work, no matter where we are all located as we're recording this. I can't wait to get this into the hands of people. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, my loves, that's everything for us this week. Make sure if you haven't done so yet, follow the show so you get notified the next time that the episode drops out. I'm definitely going to be putting this interview on YouTube. So if you want to see our beautiful faces, come check us out on the YouTubes and then like and subscribe to the channel there as well. The content in YouTube generally is not the same as the podcast. I've talked about this once or twice, but this one will be just our interview. So you can see us live in the room as we're hanging out. With that, I wish you an absolutely amazing week ahead. I cannot wait to see you on the podcast next week. Mwah! Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode, my love. If you loved what you heard today, I'd be so grateful if you left a review and shared it with someone ready for more. For additional love and inspiration, find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at XOAmyDiamond, or visit the links in the show notes. I'm already excited to connect in the next episode, and I'm cooking up something really juicy for you. Until then, I'm sending you all my love, and I'm reminding you, you're already awesome. It's time to let your brilliance shine.